Biggest moment since the war began. Israel has killed Hamas leader, October 7 mastermind, Yahya Sinwar.
We begin this hour with a major development in the Middle East, though, that could change the course of the war. Israel has killed the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, in southern Gaza.
It wasn't Mossad who got him, nor was it elite IDF fighters. A group of trainees and reservists took out enemy number one. He died as he lived, like a coward, cowering in the shadows, hiding in buildings bombed off the back of his terror raid. It was a drone that captured these shots from his last moments alive. Look at him. He was no freedom fighter. He wasn't leader of any resistance. He was evil personified. He was also weak, so very, very weak. He knew that he was no match for soldiers, no match for an army. That's why he went for women, children, unarmed innocent men, teenagers, the elderly, Holocaust survivors, the sick, the disabled. And then he hid, using the bodies of his own people and those he'd kidnapped as human shields. He was no hero, no idol. I don't care who you are or what you believe, but nobody, no government, no religion, no so-called resistance could ever justify his reign of terror. And any attempts to do so, well, they're disgraceful. Prime Minister Netanyahu with this message for those still in Gaza.
To the people of Gaza, I have a simple message. This war can end tomorrow. It can end if Hamas lays down its arms and returns our hostages.
Followed by this.
And Israel will guarantee the safety of all those who return our hostages. But to those who would harm our hostages, I have another message. Israel will hunt you down and bring you to justice.
Even those that hate us, we will give them the opportunity that they can make good. That's amazing, because the life of our hostages is so important and so dear to us that, yes, we'll give you life too, even though you are the captors.
And after today, well, after this year, find me someone who doesn't believe him. You won't. World leaders, of course, reacted. Our Prime Minister said he was an enemy of the Israeli people and an enemy of peace-loving people everywhere. His death is a significant moment and can be a vital turning point in this devastating conflict. US Vice President Kamala Harris.
In the past year, American Special Operations and intelligence personnel have worked closely with their Israeli counterparts to locate and track Sinwar and other Hamas leaders. And I commend their work. And I will say, to any terrorist who kills Americans, threatens the American people, or threatens our troops or our interests, know this: we will always bring you to justice.
Now, I don't want to put a dampener on what is a very good news day for the world, but come on, we will always bring you to justice? Madam Vice President, you have done everything in your power to stop Israel from doing this. He was killed in Rafah. You told Prime Minister Netanyahu not to enter. In fact, you told the world.
We have been clear in multiple conversations and in every way that any major military operation in Rafah would be a huge mistake. Let me tell you something. I have studied the maps.
You weren't even present in Congress when Netanyahu spoke of how his country was fighting terror on behalf of all of us. You kept calling for a ceasefire, fully aware that the other side would never stop. So in other words, you demanded a proud nation of good, strong, resilient people lie down and die. You underestimated them, like so many others in the world. You hindered this rather than helped. The president himself, remember, having recently blamed Netanyahu for the deaths of 6 hostages. Have a look.
It's a good day for the world. We got, I call these Netanyahu to congratulate him getting Sinwar. He had a lot of blood in his hands. American blood, Israeli blood, and others. And I told him that we were really pleased with his actions. And further that now's the time to move on. Move toward a ceasefire in Gaza. Make sure that we move in a direction that we're going to be in a position to make things better for the whole world.
Maybe Mr. Biden, instead of giving the advice that has been ill-advised till now, just let Prime Minister Netanyahu do what he needs to do, not just for Israel, but for you. And not just for you, but the entire free world. And not just the free world, because ultimately it's for all of humanity. When you fight evil and destroy evil, you are helping all of humanity. So stop with the advice and maybe just take advice from true world leader, someone who cares not only for his people, but ultimately for all of humanity.
You honestly could not make this stuff up if you tried. Erin, Foreign Minister, directly to Israel, don't go into Rafah. So to the rest in the West and all of those countries who cowered, just like Sinwar did at the end, this victory is in spite of you, not in any way because of you. So make your speeches, say all the right things, hail the death of an evil terrorist, take credit if you must, but know within how you enabled him. You encouraged him, allowed his reign of terror to go far longer than it ever should have. Every single person who failed the most basic test of moral clarity on October 7. Killing kids? Oh, complicated. Raping women? What's the context? Burning people alive? Resistance? All those who joined a movement that glorified death, who marched in our streets waving their flags and chanting for more. Sinwar is responsible for every single death that has occurred in the Middle East since October 7 and many before. But his global cheer squad, wow, take a bow. You played a big part, and most of you are too stupid to even realise. Where did it all go so wrong? Honestly, it's a legitimate question. How did we get here? How did those we elected to lead us fail us so miserably? And how did that then seemingly filter down to the masses? No one ever had to make a choice between supporting Israel and supporting humanity. Standing up for innocent children goes hand in hand with destroying the terrorists who were killing them. October 7 was a dark, dark day, the most horrific thing I've witnessed in my lifetime. But do you know what's been even worse? The soul-destroying reaction of all those around the world who purport to stand for life, freedom, democracy, and peace. This won't just go down in history as the worst massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust, but as the darkest day for leaders all over the world who were tested and the vast majority of whom failed miserably. Those who stood tall despite their relentless campaigns to do otherwise will be remembered. Those who shrunk and sold their souls will be as well, for very different reasons. The earth is now a much safer place, thanks in no part to the majority of the Western world.
Wow, how beautifully expressed. Soul-searching actions. Every human has a soul that's created in the divine image. And that's what makes that soul irreplaceable. That's what makes that soul unique and divine. Yet, you could lose the divine image by actions that are horrific. And you lose that image of the divine in you, as Sinwar and so many others have done as being horrific, brutal, subhuman terrorists. And therefore, we don't have the right to destroy them. We actually have an obligation, according to the Torah mandate, that we must destroy the evil. Although they do have the divine image as a part of them, but they've lost that image. But Erin said, the truth is, something maybe more painful is that so much of, or at least a portion of humanity, has lost their humanness, has lost their divine image by being a party to this evil. So many leaders today are a part and parcel of the problem rather than the solution. Wake up, see the divine image that's in you, and that divine image means hold on to integrity and to goodness. And goodness means sometimes that you have to act in a very harsh way and destroying the darkness and the evil of individuals or groups of people, terrorists. But ultimately will come out a greater good. Otherwise, we will allow them to rule ultimately. And ultimately, the rule of God, the rule of God's goodness, by the goodness and kindness, the mitzvahs that we do are ultimately what will prevail in this world.